So there's a machine sitting in a lab in Shenzhen right now that a whole lot of very powerful people were betting China wouldn't build for at least another decade, and it exists. Reuters broke the whole story in late 2025, and the short version is this. China put together a working prototype of an EUV lithography machine, the single most restricted, most guarded piece of technology in the entire chip world. If you don't know why this matters yet, stick with me because by the end of this video, you're gonna understand exactly why one description of a factory floor sent a chill through boardrooms in the Netherlands, Germany, and Washington. And if you're into the kind of stuff that you actually like keeping up with, do me a quick favor and hit subscribe now while you're thinking about it, because I dig into these stories every week and I'd hate for you to miss the next one. Alright, let me show you what they actually built. Here's the first thing that gets people. ASML's EUV machines, the ones made in the Netherlands that basically the entire advanced chip industry depends on, are roughly the size of a school bus. They weigh around 180 tons, and that's already an absurd machine. And now, China's prototype, it doesn't fit in a room. It fills nearly an entire factory floor, and according to reporting, the team actually tried to match ASML's compact size, failed, and then just went the other way and built something enormous instead. And honestly, I love that detail because it tells you everything about where they are. This isn't a polished commercial product. It's a first attempt, a rough, sprawling, brute force version of something the West spent decades learning to miniaturize. But here's my take. Nobody nails the elegant version first. You get the working thing first and then you shrink it. The fact that it works at all is the real headline. So, what does work actually mean here? Well, let me break down the hard part first. UV stands for extreme ultraviolet, and the whole game is producing light with a wavelength of 13.5 nanometers. That's the magic number that lets you print circuit patterns small enough for cutting-edge chips, and the problem is that that kind of light is ridiculously hard to generate. ASML's method is genuinely wild when you hear it. They fire 10 droplets, about 50,000 of them every single second, and they hit each tiny droplet in midair with a powerful CO2 laser. That blast turns the tin into a superheated plasma, and the plasma splits out EUV light. 50,000 droplets a second, each one struck precisely over and over and over and over again. That's called laser-produced plasma, or LPP, and it is a monster of engineering. China is going after this two different ways. One team is chasing the same LPP approach, but the prototype everyone is talking about leans on a different trick called laser-induced discharge plasma, or LDP. Instead of shooting thousands of flying droplets, LDP uses rotating tin-coated discs and an electrical discharge to vaporize the tin and create the plasma. Mechanically, this is much simpler. You're not trying to snipe 50,000 moving targets a second, which quietly removes the whole category of precision nightmare. Sounds better, right? Well, here's the catch, and it's a big one. Making EUV light is one thing. Making enough of it is the real battle. Power output is basically everything here, because more power means you can print more wafers per hour, which basically means that the machine actually makes economic sense on a factory floor. ASML's commercial systems put around 300 watts, and their newer prototypes have pushed past 700 watts. China's prototype, by the reporting, is sitting at around 100 watts, which is, well, pathetic compared to ASML, and LDP has always had a ceiling problem. Earlier versions were stuck near 30 watts, and the underlying physics makes it genuinely tricky to scale up to the levels you need for mass production. That's actually why LDP has mostly been used for niche jobs like inspecting photomasks and not for cranking out chips at volume. Now, do I think 100 watts is the finish line? No, and neither do they. The Chinese teams are openly targeting 250 watts as the number where this starts becoming a serious production tool. Getting there is not guaranteed, but going from basically nothing to 100 watts of usable UV is a real jump, and I'd bet against anyone who claims that they're stuck there forever. Okay, so you've made your UV light. Now you have to steer it, and this is where things get almost unfair. At 13.5 nanometers, regular lenses are useless because the light just gets absorbed instead of passing through. So instead of lenses, UV machines use mirrors, and not normal mirrors either. These are multi-layer stacks of molybdenum and silicon polished so smooth that the roughness is measured in picometers. We're talking around 50 picometers, which is a fraction of the width of a single atom. To put that in perspective, if the Earth were that smooth, the tallest mountains would stick up a few millimeters at best. For decades, exactly one company on the planet had made these to spec, and that's Zeiss in Germany. This is arguably the deepest part of the whole moat, even deeper than the light source. And here's what impressed me. Chinese institutes, especially the optics group in Changchun, actually produced their own mirrors and got them working inside the prototype. They're not as efficient as Zeiss mirrors, which is, well, expected. They lose more light on every bounce, and each bounce already costs you precious photons, so how did they compensate? Well, they made bigger collectors, longer optical paths, and a bigger overall machine, which, hey, circles right back to why this thing eats an entire factory floor. Is the performance below ASML's level? Absolutely, and it's not even close yet. But they cleared a wall that plenty of experts flat out said they couldn't climb. I don't think that this gets nearly enough credit. Here's a curveball that genuinely surprised me though. One of the biggest vulnerabilities in the whole thing isn't a laser or a mirror, it's gas. Helium. Advanced fabs burn through thousands of cubic meters of helium every month. You need it for cooling, for creating inert environments so nothing contaminates the process, and for leak detection. And it's really hard to substitute, because helium's properties are just unusual. Here's the kicker though. China imports roughly 85% of its helium historically from places like Qatar and Russia. So they've actually started restricting helium exports to make sure domestic needs come first. Think about that for a second. You can reverse engineer the most complex machine humanity has ever built, and you can still get choked out by a shortage of the gas we put in party balloons. It's a reminder that chip independence isn't one problem, it's 1,000 problems stacked in a trench coat. None of this happens without talent though, and this is maybe my favorite part of the story. Starting around 2019, China went on an aggressive recruiting spree, offering signing bonuses reportedly in the range of 3 to 5 million yuan, plus housing subsidies, and they landed some big names. The standout is Lin Nan, who used to be ASML's head of light source technology. He now leads a team at the Shanghai Institute of Optics, and the team has reportedly filed 8 EUV-related patents in 18 months. 18 months. Another team led by Professor Zhao Yongpeng at the Harvard Institute of Technology is driving the light source side. The whole operation has been compared to a Manhattan Project for chips, with engineers reportedly working under aliases in secure facilities, kept isolated from one another. On top of all that, research publication on EUV coming out of China have surged since around 2020, and when the papers spike, the breakthroughs usually aren't far behind. So, how close are they, really? Well, let me be straight with you, because the hype on both sides is exhausting. This is a prototype. It's not production ready. It has generated EUV light, but as of the reporting, it hadn't printed a single working chip yet. For perspective, ASML took the better part of 2 decades to go from early prototypes to reliable commercial machines. So anyone telling you China is about to flood the market the next quarter is selling you something. But and this is the part that I think most people miss, China doesn't need to beat ASML. It doesn't need 700 watts or ASML's throughput. Right now, SMIC makes advanced chips using multi-pattern DUV. Older generation machines run through the process over and over, and yields there are often below 50%. That's slow, that's expensive, and it's painful. So even a clunky, lower yield homegrown EUV tool that beats that multi-patterning mess would be strategically enormous, because it chips away at the reliance on tools China simply isn't allowed to buy anymore. The goal was never to win the race, it's to stop being locked out of it entirely. Turning this prototype into reliable, high-volume factory equipment is still a mountain of work, and realistically it might take until the 2030s or even beyond, but the whole "can they even do it" question? That one just got answered, and that answer changes the entire conversation.